Welcome back, everyone, to another story. We really hope you enjoy. I always hated the sound of traffic. The noise, the people, the chaos of the outside world. None of it ever felt like it belonged to me. Which is probably why I chose the life I did. Working from home as a freelance artist, barely leaving my apartment except for the occasional late-night walk. The kind where the streets are empty, the shops are closed, and the world is quiet. That night didn't feel any different. I pulled on a hoodie, slipped on my sneakers, and left my apartment just past midnight. The air was cool, and the city felt like it had gone to sleep without me. I liked it that way. I was walking the same path I always did, past a dimly lit bookstore, across an empty park, and around the edge of the small canal near the edge of town. That's where I saw it, a glint of light from the sidewalk. At first, I thought it was just a bottle cap or some trash reflecting the streetlight. But as I got closer, I realized it was a ring. Just sitting there, in the middle of the pavement like someone had dropped it moments before. Silver. Smooth. It shimmered faintly, even under the dull light. I looked around. No one was in sight. Without thinking too much, I bent down and picked it up, then slipped it into my hoodie pocket and kept walking. I didn't think much about it again until I got back to my apartment. I kicked off my shoes, tossed my hoodie on the chair, and felt the ring still in the pocket. Curiosity finally caught up with me. I pulled it out, turning it over in my fingers. It was warm. Weirdly warm. But there wasn't anything special about it, at least not that I could tell. No engravings, no marks, just simple and smooth. I don't know what made me do it, but I slipped it onto my finger. It fit perfectly. I admired it for a second, shrugged, and went back to my desk. I still had some work I hadn't finished, but my mind wasn't really in it. I was tired, and my focus was drifting. Eventually, my thoughts wandered to old memories. And then, her. Her name was Sarah. I hadn't seen her in years. We went to college together, and I had the biggest crush on her. I used to catch myself staring at her in class, watching her laugh, the way she brushed her hair back when she was nervous. She had this soft, inviting presence. But I never had the courage to talk to her. I was too shy, too self-conscious. I don't know why I was thinking about her now, but as the memory of her lingered in my mind, a strange sensation began to creep through my body. It started in my fingertips, like tiny sparks under the skin. A growing warmth then swirled through my chest and stomach, rising up my spine until my entire body tingled like it was humming from the inside out. I barely had time to react before it happened. A flash, sharp and blinding, like someone had set off a camera flash in a pitch-dark room. My whole body jerked violently as though something inside me had snapped free. And just like that, everything changed. When I opened my eyes, the world felt different. Not in a way I could explain at first, but everything felt off-kilter. Lighter, smaller. My center of gravity had shifted, and the air against my skin felt oddly intimate, like it was brushing across a new surface. I looked down slowly. My hoodie had slipped off one shoulder, hanging loosely in a way it never had before. My chest rose and fell with a softness I had never known, unmistakably feminine. My waist now curved inward gently, leading down to hips that flared out just enough to completely change my silhouette. My skin looked smoother, almost glowing under the soft light of my desk lamp. My hands were narrower, the fingers longer and more graceful. I stumbled toward the mirror, barely able to keep my balance in this unfamiliar body. And there she was. Sarah was looking back at me. I had become her. Every inch, every detail, her piercing blue eyes, the gentle slope of her nose, the way her lips curved with that quiet softness I had always admired. Her hair, long and honey-colored, tumbled past my shoulders in loose waves. I stared into the mirror, into my eyes, frozen in place, my mind racing, but my body utterly still. It wasn't a dream. I could feel everything. The weight of her hair, the press of her chest against the fabric, the cool air on my legs. I raised a hand, touched my cheek. It felt like velvet. I traced my jawline, then my lips, trying to make sense of the surreal beauty staring back at me. I was Sarah. I must have stood there in shock for minutes, barely breathing. Then it hit me. The ring. I looked down at it still on my finger. Was it possible? To test it, I sat back down and thought, really focused, on another girl I used to admire. A classmate named Mia. Brunette, tall, confident. I imagined her smile, her eyes, the way she carried herself, and then the same tingle, another flash. When I opened my eyes this time, I was different again. Curvier in new ways. Different hair, fuller lips. Mia. I couldn't believe what I was experiencing. My heart was racing. This wasn't just some dream. I was wide awake, transforming. The ring. It gave me the power to become anyone I could picture. I spent the rest of the night experimenting. Celebrity crushes, girls I'd seen online. I tried being tall, short, thin, athletic, everything. Every form as real and tangible as the last. But in the end, I went back to Sarah. She was the one I couldn't stop thinking about. She felt familiar. Safe. When I woke up the next morning, I was still her, still Sarah. The realization made my heart flutter. I smiled at my reflection. Something about being her made everything feel different. I felt braver, lighter. The usual fog of nervousness and self-doubt that clung to me like a second skin was gone. I wasn't anxious like I usually was. It was like I had stepped out from behind a mask I hadn't even known I was wearing. There was something liberating about looking in the mirror and seeing someone beautiful, poised, even if it still felt surreal. It was like I had permission to be someone else, someone more confident, someone people wanted to talk to. By mid-morning, I was already out the door, walking downtown with a kind of casual ease that would have been impossible just days ago. The breeze against my legs, the click of my shoes on the pavement, the curious glances from passers-by. It was all so new, yet somehow intoxicating. I wandered into a boutique I'd never even glanced at before. My hands trembled as I flipped through the racks at first, but by the time I made it to the dressing room, I felt excited. I tried on a flowy sundress first. The way it hugged my waist and swayed around my thighs made my breath catch. Then came jeans, soft and high-waisted, paired with a snug crop top that showed just a hint of midriff. I twirled in the mirror, laughing softly at how good it all looked. How good I looked. I wasn't just trying on clothes. I was trying on an entirely new way of existing. I bought the outfit. Then another. And another. Tops that flattered my new figure. Undergarments that felt like they were made just for me. A light jacket in pale pink. The girl in the mirror was smiling now, and this time, the smile reached her eyes. I wasn't just playing dress up. I was starting to live. And the more time I spent as her, the more I realized just how different life felt. There was a lightness to everything, like the world had softened its edges just for me. People made eye contact with me now and smiled. Doors were held open. Strangers struck up conversations while I browsed store shelves or waited in line. Even the way people listened to me felt new, like I mattered. I could laugh without second-guessing the sound. I could wear what I wanted and feel good in it. I didn't dread stepping outside anymore. I walked with my head up instead of down. And it wasn't just how the world treated me. It was how I treated myself. I caught myself smiling more, looking in the mirror not to criticize, but to admire. I felt like I was discovering parts of myself that had been buried under years of self-doubt. As if I'd been wearing the wrong skin for so long, I forgot what it felt like to breathe. Days passed, then a week. I stayed as Sarah, waking up each morning and smiling when I saw her face in the mirror. But eventually, something began to gnaw at me. A quiet guilt. I was living in someone else's body. Her face. Her life. Even if she didn't know it, I did. And it didn't sit right. So I made a decision. If I was going to keep living like this, it had to be on my own terms. I couldn't keep borrowing someone else's face, someone else's life. As much as I loved being Sarah, it just wasn't right. I knew I couldn't go on doing it. I needed a body that reflected who I was becoming. Not a copy, not a borrowed identity. A true self. One that came from me, from my own hands and imagination. Something real, even if it began as a sketch. I wanted to look in the mirror and see someone entirely new, someone I could call me without hesitation or guilt. I spent the next few days sketching, drawing from scratch. I created her, myself, or rather who I wanted to be. A girl with soft features, big eyes, a warm smile. She was beautiful, but not in a flashy way. She looked kind, approachable. She looked like someone I wanted to be. When I was done, I sat back in my chair, staring at the digital portrait glowing on the screen. She looked perfect. Not in a magazine cover kind of way, but in a way that felt right. Like she belonged. Like I belonged. With trembling fingers, I reached for the ring and slipped it back onto my hand. The metal felt warmer than before, almost like it recognized me. I closed my eyes and focused, locking the image in my mind. Every detail. The curve of her jaw, the gentle arch of her brows, the softness in her expression. I imagined her walking, laughing, living. I imagined her being me. And then it happened. Just like before, the warmth surged through me, a heat that filled every inch of my body. The flash came next, blinding and all-consuming. My breath caught in my throat as my form shifted, reshaped, remade. When I opened my eyes, I already knew. I felt it in my bones, in the way the world wrapped around me like a perfect fit. I was her, my creation, my new self. And she was everything I had ever wanted to be. I stood slowly, staring at the mirror. She was perfect. I ran my hands down my sides, my curves, my thighs. Everything was exactly the way I had imagined. A face that felt familiar, but fresh. A body that felt like home. This time, there was no guilt, no hesitation. I wasn't borrowing someone else's life. I was finally living my own. Over the next few weeks, everything changed. I started going outside more. I started chatting with more people. I even joined a local art group. I made friends. Real friends. I stopped avoiding eye contact, stopped hiding. People smiled at me, talked to me, listened. It was strange how differently the world treated me now. But I didn't question it. I embraced it. And the more I did, the more I felt like the person I was always meant to be. I still kept the ring, tucked safely in a drawer, but I didn't use it anymore. I didn't need to. I had everything I wanted now. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I still went for walks. The city was the same, but I wasn't. I passed by the place where I found the ring and smiled. That tiny glimmer on the sidewalk? It changed everything. I used to be invisible. Now I was finally seen. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, remember to check out our Patreon page. Join now for as little as $5 a month and get access to 7 exclusive stories, with more being added every week. There is more info in the description. Thanks for watching.